Okay, then we come to the Zhou dynasty. Now it's getting into more details. So the Zhou is split into Xizhou and Dongzhou. There's the east and there's the west and the east. That should be west. What this means is they have different positions of the capital. When the dynasty is somehow interrupted, they move the capital. So in the West period, in the first period, they didn't know this name. This is a name given by later people, say, that's like the Western Zhou period. They only call themselves Zhou. So what happened was there was a king later on, when he got onto the throne, he was a kid. So there was this uncle who assisted him. So Zhou Gong is the one that assisted the king. And he made a really important step in Chinese culture, which is 治理作乐. So he wrote down basically the manners or courtesy according to which people should behave. And he promoted the use of music, right, to cultivate the mind. So he believes if we have 礼节 or 礼教, which means the manners or courtesy which regulate how you should interact with people, this is to tell you how to keep appropriate distance when you interact with other people, when you do things. And when you have music, so that you would make the mind really in peace, right? With those two things, he believes the country will be in harmony. And this is an idea later on that was taken by Confucius. So in his school of philosophy, he often talks about this. He really emphasized this idea of 礼乐. And this is an integral part of Chinese culture. All right, of course, he's taking the position to assist the king. Later on led to the rebellion of 3 other noble people called 三监之乱. But anyway, much later on, there was another king. At the end of this period, so you might ask what kind of stupid stuff this guy has to do to end the period. So Zhou Youwang and Bao Si is his second wife. Now he is so into this wife, and the wife doesn't seem to smile very much. So once they were just taking a look at the beacon station, basically this is the place where you have a tower and the walls, and you can light the fire and say, hey, we have trouble here because the neighbors are attacking. When the fire is lit, all the nearby lords and generals, they should come and support. And the wife was asking, so what happens when we light this fire? Okay, we will try, we do this. Yeah? So they lit the fire, and all the lords, they rushed in with soldiers and said, okay, what's going on? Where's the enemy? And the wife was laughing loud, and the king was pleased. Well, my wife doesn't smile so much, and now she's laughing. So they did this multiple times. And also, he likes the second wife so much, he wants the son of the second wife to take over. Now, his firstborn was supposed to be the heir of the kingdom, but he took him away. So the son ran away to his maternal grandfather and said, my father has given me up, and he's not happy. So the grandfather said, now let's talk to the other country, Quanrong. This is the barbarian to the west. So they schemed to let the barbarians into the war. So they attacked the capital. And that means the son now can take over, right? The firstborn son is supported not only by Quanzhong and his grandfather. Now the father is killed. He took over. He became Ping Wang. But this is a big issue because he schemed with his grandfather to kill his father. That means as a leader, he has no credibility to the nobles anymore. He moved to the east because now the west side is completely a mess. There's like the lords fighting with the barbarians, and also the lords don't support him. He went east. So that started the period of Dongzhou, the east period. Now we come to another important figure. Guan Zhong, we already read his quote from above. Guan Zhong is in Qi kingdom, and he is like the xiang, which if you would translate to English, is more like prime minister. So he's like the prime minister of the Qi kingdom. He summoned the meeting of the lords and promoted the idea of we should defend the king and repel the barbarians. So Confucius actually commented about this person. If not for Guan Zhong, we would have draped hair and clothes opening to the left. Okay, draped hair is easy to understand because the barbarians, they don't have the convention of tying up the hair. The opening of the cloth to the left refers to the convention of the barbarians. Because at the time, the Hanfu, the clothing of the Han people, right, although they didn't use the name Han at the time, opens like this one to the right. This is Youren, this is opening to the right. The reason is, of course, that because we cover first the right-hand side and then the left-hand side over the right? So it looks like this. It's associated with the idea of left and right representing yin and yang. Qigong position, when we do that, we know we have here and here. In this context, the left hand represents yang and the right hand represents yin. And therefore, the male would have one side and female have the other side. Because it is considered that male and female have more yang and more yin. In the context of clothing, it's always to the right because in that, the left and right, again, represent yin and yang, but here yang means the living energy, and yin is like static, dead. So for a person to have more yang than yin, it should be like this, the left side covering the right. For a person who has more yin than yang, it's dead. The person is dead. So the dress for dead people are the other way. That's why the normal dressing is like, they always dress like this. Now, for the barbarians or the nomads, they don't have the same correspondence. That's why they can open to the left, right? They just, by convention, they open to the left. They don't care. So to have draped hair and clothes opening to the left means they would be ruled by the other race and follow their traditions. Now let's look at the story before we come back to here. This is Guan Zhong, the prime minister of the Qi kingdom. He was supporting one prince, one of the two, those two competing for to be the heir of the kingdom. So when their father died, the two princes competed, and like many other cases, the competition turned out to be a bloody one. Guan Zhong has a friend, 𝐯𝐸𝐲𝐻. They had known each other for a long time, and they turned out to be supporting those two different princes, of the kingdom. So Guan Zhong was following 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐟𝐞𝐤, and his friend was supporting 𝐞𝐯𝐞𝐫𝐲. And later on, so this 𝐞𝐯𝐞𝐫𝐲 was the new king of the kingdom. So he was saying, this is said by Guan Zhong, he said, when I was poor at the beginning, I did business with 𝐯𝐸𝐲, and I often took more share when we split the profit. He did not consider me to be greedy. He knew I was poor. I had given ideas, I planned things for 𝐯𝐸𝐲, but we ended up being poorer. We lost money. He did not consider me to be stupid. He knew there are good and bad times. He understands. I had held office positions 3 times and got expelled by the Lord 3 times. He did not regard me as incapable. He knew I didn't have the right time. And I had been in battle 3 times. I ran away 3 times. He did not consider me a coward. He knew I had an old mother to take care of. And then the next statement is about when he failed, right? Basically, the prince he supported was killed, and he was put in prison by the other prince because he attempted to kill him. He said, Prince Zhou failed, and 𝐒𝐷u died for him. So 𝐒𝐷u is the other advisor who followed this prince. Now, at that time, it's a very common idea, at least amongst the nobles, that a good person, a loyal person, would only follow one lord in his life. So if this lord or this government would fail, that means that's the end of your career and also the end of your life. So, it would be your honor to die for your lord. So 𝐞𝐯𝐬, the prince, already failed and he was killed. So the other advisor killed himself. He chose to die to keep his honor. He did differently. I took insult in prison. He didn't want to die. So he stayed in prison. 𝐯𝐸𝐲, my friend, he did not regard me as shameless. Because 知我不修小节而耻，功名不显于天下也. He knows I'm not ashamed for this kind of minor principles, but I would be ashamed if my achievements and my name are not seen by this world. Here's an understanding friend. Basically his friend later on recommended him for the new lord and say, yes, he was your enemy, but I know he's a really good person. He's capable. So later on, he served the prince who was his enemy. He said, my parents are those who gave me life, but 𝐯𝐸𝐲 is the one that knows me. So this understanding friend gave him the confidence to live on and then achieve. Now, if we go back to, just go down. And then he got this comment, right? So if not for Guan Zhong, we would be ruled by the barbarians. We would have draped hairs and clothes opening to the left. He's not only a guy who makes up excuses for his failures. He's the person who has persistence and he really has talent and he achieved. And he is the figure of that time. Guan Zhong in Chinese culture is basically a name representing the capability to manage things for organization. When you mention the name Guan Zhong, he's the really smart guy who can manage the kingdom and also stabilize the whole Dongzhou in the early years. Okay, but of course, over time, the Dongzhou 𝐤𝐧𝐻, which is known as the son of heaven. This is the common leader of the whole China. So there are local lords, and there is the 𝐤𝐧𝐻, which is like the emperor, although the formal name of emperor did not exist in the time. They refer to them as the son of heaven, which means he has the destiny to rule this place. You know, as time goes, Zhou 𝐤𝐧𝐻 has lost credit, and the lords respect him less and less. So there is a representative incident when 𝐸-𝐺huang, again, 𝐸 is the kingdom in the south. This is like the southern barbarian. Okay, so he basically went close to the capital and had his army there, you know, like showing off. And he asked, oh, you know, what size and, you know, how heavy is your pot? And this question is really offensive because he's asking about the container, 国器, the container representing the nation. And he is only a southern lord. He has no business with that. When he asked about the details of this container, he is showing ambition to interfere with the central government. Let's go to the next one.